Hi, I'm Andy Mason, the founder and director of Heaven in Business, and I want to introduce you to a good friend and a phenomenal evangelistic strategy. This is Marilyn Adamson, who's the founder of everystudent.com, and I really want you to pay attention to the results of what they are getting in this evangelistic strategy globally online. Actually, it's so good. I sent it to a technology and AI leading guy. And this is what he said. Wow, what a testimony and proven model. Maybe the most compelling return on investment I've heard. What exponential results would manifest if more people knew this? So this is what we want to do, is introduce you to Marilyn so that you hear what's happening, how she did this, and the story of what's happening as a result. So Marilyn, thank you for this. But let's go back. You were a devoted atheist. How did a devoted atheist start and launch a platform called everystudent.com?
Well, thank you, Andy, for having me on. This is great. Um, yeah, it was true. I was convinced God didn't exist. I thought it was a nice idea, but that was it. And then I became friends with a Christian who really walked with God, really trusted God in her life. And I couldn't understand how somebody that smart would believe in God. So I began to challenge her. I would ask her questions nearly every day, and that went on for a year and a half. And then finally she gave me a book. And this is key. When I was away from her, all my defenses could come down. I didn't have to think about rebuttals or defend atheism. I could be honest. And that's when God really spoke to me. And it was the earth's position to the sun and the properties of water that convinced me of God's
Yeah,
existence.
wow. I love this. And so the earth's properties, the science of that,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
I
that story.
couldn't wordsmith my way around it.
Yeah.
And that was helpful to me. And then, I saw evidence for Jesus being God. So when I asked Jesus into my life, he dramatically changed my life. I was so excited to know him. And I wound up coming on staff with a Christian organization named Crew.
Yeah.
Um, and my desire, this was before the internet, but my desire was to use media to reach as many people as possible.
So people just like you. So I believe you studied journalism. Was that correct?
Yeah, yeah, that was my degree.
So not technology. So how did that lead to everystudent.com?
Well, God provided people all along the way, a great webmaster, a programmer. I mean, people just, uh, God just said, here, this is what you need. And, I also was looking all the time at Psalm 40 because technology is complicated. And, I won't read the whole thing, but it says, he heard my cry.
Yeah.
He drew me up from the miry bog and set my feet on solid rock. And that's as many will see and put their trust in the Lord. And that's what I was praying for.
And so you're building from nothing. You don't have technology, computer background, but Psalm 40, he heard your cry and you
Mhm,
wanted the heart's cry was actually to build a safe place where
mhm,
people can search all the hard answers about life and God.
mhm.
Like, so how did that build out and what started to happen?
Well, an important part to me is I wanted it to be worded directly to non-believers.
Yeah.
So I wanted it also to be persuasive. Um, so everystudent.com doesn't just inform or educate, it seeks to give people reason to begin a relationship with God and an opportunity to do so. So what's happened is the site is now in 50 languages.
Wow.
And we were early on seeing so many people come to Christ that I realized we had to build a site to help new believers grow. And so we have a full growth path for them, really in depth, on startingwithgod.com, another site.
So, I love it. And so jump straight to what are some of the results? You started in 2000. That's when you first built
Yeah,
everystudent.com.
yeah.
I'm sure it's grown a ton since then. Give us some of the statistics, like nerd us out. What's some of the statistics that are coming from this site from all around the world?
Well, we've seen phenomenal growth. At the beginning, it was a few thousand people a year. And now, last year was over 75 million people who
Hang
came
on,
to the site.
hang on. 75 million people.
Hmm.
Is that like just bots? Is it spam?
No, 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 no. And these are people, by the way, who are actively seeking. So, and we're seeing them come to the site for about 2 cents a person.
Wow.
And we're seeing people receive Christ for under $2 a person.
So 75 million people. You told me
Mhm.
you use a platform and a program called Click Fraud to make sure that there's not dodgy details. It's actually statistics. It's been growing over the last
Mhm.
couple of decades. 75
Mhm.
million people.
Yeah.
Like this
And
is
then,
incredible, Marilyn.
and we saw just during last year, over 1.5 million people receive Christ.
So how do you know that they receive Christ?
We have only about 20% of the site actually goes through the gospel, and it's only on those articles or those long videos. These articles are longer too. At the very end, they're they're given the opportunity to receive Christ, and there's a way for them to indicate that by clicking on a link. But what I see is absolute parallel. As more people receive Christ, more people come to the Starting with God site, and it's absolutely parallel and has been for years. So I'm very analytical about seeing
Love
that
it.
these are real people and people are really growing.
Yeah, and like you were mentioning, in certain countries, there's conversations that are taking place. You've got teams all over. It's
Hmm.
exciting what's happening in certain countries that most people would not normally be able to access. So how
Right.
does a journalist, atheist, now believer who's influenced by the water and the properties of water and comes to Christ, how are you reaching through this website 75 million people? How's that even getting in front of them?
Well, at the beginning, we were doing uh, paper flyers on college campuses, and now then somebody finally said, "This is a website. You should be using
Yeah,
Google."
yeah.
So we are we're running advertising with Google and Facebook, but most of the people we're reaching, most of it is going to countries like Egypt
Wow.
and Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, Vietnam. It's all the really hard countries where you can't talk openly about Jesus. But I love that people can privately come,
Yeah.
just like I did with the book where I was alone. They can come on their own. And the people who are coming to the site are actively searching. And I'd like to share one example
Oh,
with you.
absolutely.
Yeah, this guy Felix, I'm going to read it off
Yeah.
my phone. He wrote me and he explained a lot. And then he said, "My life looked good on the outside, but life was becoming harder and harder. Countless sexual partners, bad company, lots and lots of lies. Sometimes I would just sit alone and cry. My life was a mess. Then one day I was on the internet looking for something that can give my life meaning, and I came across your website. You introduced God to me in a magnificent way. Jesus has transformed my life. I breathed fresh air, a breath of liberation and freedom. I was finally born again. I no longer look for someone to understand me. I now know who I am."
Wow. Wow.
And
And,
those are
and
the kind of people coming.
and there's hundreds of these.
Oh yeah, I could sit here all day and read you things like this where people that will say, "I came to your site 3 years ago and received Christ and I'm still growing." And, I just want to thank you. I have a series to help people grow really for 5-10 years.
Yeah. So there's evangelism. It's effective. It's working.
Hmm.
75 million people came to the site. 1.5 million followed through and literally had to find where they actually punch a button, say, yes, I just said a prayer and committed my life to Jesus Christ to follow him as my
Hmm.
Lord and Savior. This is 50 languages around the world. It's growing. So
Hmm.
there is a very, very clear return on missional evangelistic dollars that are being spent in and through what you're doing.
That's right. That's right. We're actually seeing people come to Christ at less than $2 right now.
Yes.
And I'd love to see that expand. And partly, I don't know how long Google and Facebook are going to allow Christian advertising. Or Microsoft doesn't allow any religious
Oh,
advertising.
wow. Okay.
And then I also wonder how long are countries going to allow the site to be visible in their country. So,
Yeah.
I feel an
Yeah.
urgency
Now,
to reach people now that the door's open. And so I'm actually hoping to double our budget
come
and
on.
see if God, could provide. We could reach so many more people so easily.
Yeah. So for every $100, that's 50 people signing up to follow Jesus. I don't know of anywhere that's achieving that kind of results. People in their
Hmm.
homes all over the world,
Hmm.
incredibly low overhead costs because you've built this
Hmm.
and really stewarded it so well. Everystudent.com, a website that answers non-believers' questions, hard questions, all about life and God and eternity. The most logical question then is, Marilyn, how do people engage? How do they engage with you? How do people say, I want in on this and I want to see more souls. I want to see more people give their life to Jesus. I want to see more people access this themselves. How do people
Hmm.
engage and give to what this is happening?
uh, this page explains exactly what you need, and my email address is at the very end. So if you have any questions, I am more than happy to talk with you and make sure you feel comfortable and all your questions have been answered.
So thank you. For those that are listening and watching, please do the homework, research it, check this site yourself
Hmm.
and share
Yeah.
it. Just real simple. Hey, I've come across a website that answers all the hard questions about God and life. Would you like it? You can use that as an evangelistic tool yourself.
Hmm.
We've walked with Marilyn. I know the business people around her and the organization that she walks her with, which is absolute integrity. It's important to know that. So these are dollars that go to what you give to. So I encourage you to give. Check out the website, scroll down, and let's go and let's see what God will do with this. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Andy.